All right, welcome back to Minor Emotions, the podcast. I'm your host, Herk. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Minor Emotions, the podcast. If you'd like to come be on the podcast, shoot me an email to minoremotionsthetepodcast@gmail.com, or you can send me a text message to area code 702-525-6118. All right, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good.
You nervous?
A little bit.
Before we get into why are you so nervous?
I've never done this before.
Okay. Uh, do you usually get nervous about things you haven't done before? Or is it
Um,
just because you're on camera?
Maybe because I'm on camera and probably because I'm an overachiever and so I don't really know what to expect, how to go. So I'm
Okay.
playing for it.
Let me ask you this: what are you hoping to come from this?
I'm hoping and I can share some knowledge that I have about things and we can kind of, I don't know, see how the conversation goes.
Okay. How did you hear about the podcast?
My good friend was on another episode.
Okay. Who's your good friend?
And Brick.
Okay. Um, so where are you from? You grew up here?
I'm from Washington. I actually grew up in Indianola, which
Where?
is it's probably like the world's smallest town. We have a store and a church and a private beach. It's in North Kitsap.
Okay. That's actually not the world's smallest because in when I was a kid, we used to drive from coast to coast,
Mm.
and I remember we stopped in a city in Wyoming, and it's had a sign and it said population 2.
Okay.
We stopped at the next gas station, and there was a son and a dad there,
Huh.
and that was the population at that gas station. They lived there. That was the only thing there. When you left there, the next sign you seen was like next city 66 miles or some shit.
Dang.
Yeah, so and I think we went back there through another time, and I think like the dad had died or something, and so like
Update the
population was more.
sign.
They need to, yeah. How's it growing up for you here?
Um,
Well, no, back in Kitsap County.
well, we're still in Kitsap County, so I'm from the way Kitsap is like there's like North, Central, and South Kitsap.
Okay.
And I've currently bought my house in Bremerton. Um, when I was a kid, I was scared of Bremerton. I thought it was like we didn't come out here except for I went to like Running Start at Olympic College is out here. But other than that, I didn't come to Bremerton because I thought it was the ghetto or something.
Is it the
Scary.
ghetto? I've never really been
I
there.
mean, I don't know. It's cheaper to live here than it is where I'm from. The farther south you go, the cheaper it gets. So I mean, I guess that says something about it.
So you guys really think that Tacoma's the ghetto, huh?
I mean, yeah, that'd be
Tacoma is wild
yeah,
for sure. I
yeah,
don't live in Tacoma. I live in like Puyallup, Graham. I'm not sure if you know what that's at.
yeah. I go to school in Tacoma.
Uh, Say again.
Oh, I go to school in Tacoma.
Okay, what school you go to?
UW, University of Washington, the Tacoma
In parent
campus.
mode.
Okay, it's okay. Um, Dang, made me forget. Oh, when you grew up, did you have your mom and your dad in the household, like a nuclear household?
Um, yeah, I lived with both my parents until I was about 15. My parents got
In
divorced,
parent mode.
and
Or search for the Vizio soundbar in the Bluetooth settings on your device.
oh my gosh.
Hey man, listen, this is one of our first episodes out the studio, so we can't control everything. So,
Right,
uh,
right.
but say that again one more time. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Let's see. My parents got divorced when I was like 15, and my mom. Ended up staying with my dad, and my mom moved to Alaska for a while. She married an Alaskan native, and yeah, it's kind of. That's it with my
You know, we got on a tangent about you being nervous. We got to back up a little bit. Do me a favor. Introduce yourself. Name, age, where you from, and relationship status. If you have any kids.
Oh, my name is Jessie Knowles. I am from here, from Kitsap, Washington. Um, I have two kids. Actually one of them's calling me right now. I have two teenage boys, 13 and 15. And my relationship status is complicated. I guess
Okay.
I'll say.
That's like one of those questions, those things where it makes me want to ask, like, what's so complicated about
Men.
it? The root of all problems, besides
I mean,
money.
root of a lot of my problems for sure. So I'm legally married. I got that, which is kind of complicated to explain because because technically we did our marriage in 2020 because I bought the house 2021, but we didn't sign the paperwork until about a year ago, because I couldn't have bought the house if we were married because his income would have met. He didn't have any income, and so we had to buy the house in just my name. But then they let you, like, because we did the whole thing, they let us just pay $1 and like sign it and backdate it. But then we kind of then we're separated. We've been separated for about a year already.
So you guys signed the document and then got separated?
Pretty shortly afterward. We only turned it in because I needed health insurance at the time.
Oh, okay.
That's why we like actually finalized it. So like, but.
Okay. That's not that complicated.
There's more to it, but I mean, it's so, and we go back and forth, and I mean, if you want me to really get into it,
It don't matter to me.
oh man, he's a lot. It's a big complication in my life. To be in love with somebody who also hurts you, that's like complicated. Who doesn't acknowledge or be aware that they're harmful. And then I left him I didn't leave him for his friend. I left him for him myself, but his friend was here and was very helpful in helping me stay away from him for a while. So.
You guys became a thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Still not that complicated.
It feels more complicated. I mean,
that seems kind of, unfortunately, it seems normal. And then also, two, it seems like, it makes sense. I mean, you're in a vulnerable state, you're going through some stuff, and this person showed up for you in that time, and you guys built something off of that.
My husband also started dating my brother's ex-girlfriend who's living at my grandma's house, and then he moved into my grandma's house. Yeah.
Jesus. Okay, it is complicated. Lord have mercy.
Okay.
You and the friends still get together?
I mean, off and on. I've kind of come to the conclusion currently, like very recently, that I need to be like kind of on my own. Like I need to learn to really trust myself. Knowing that I know I'm capable of doing things. I don't really need a man, so I just need to like learn to trust myself in that. So being on my own would be. I haven't been single since I was like 13. Like a teenager. It's just like a serial monogamous, and so I just really think that would be best for my children, to really just kind of rely on myself and focus on them and my career.
Okay. All right, so let's get into this. Yeah, that's kind of complicated.
I told you.
Growing up,
Mm-hmm.
How was it living with your mom and your dad?
I had an awesome childhood. I've got 2 older brothers and a younger sister. I don't think I've ever fought with my sister. And so my parents, when we were kids, my parents were great. I had like the epitome of a great childhood. My mom, like, she volunteered in my class. She was my Girl Scout leader. She was my soccer coach. My parents owned a video store.
Okay.
So I had a job since I was like 11 or 12.
Like Blockbuster?
Before Blockbuster, it was like independent, right? And then my dad opened a movie theater after people stopped renting movies. He's retired like a year ago. That was pretty cool growing up because I always had access to all when movies first came out and stuff.
So you grew up kind of wealthy.
I mean, probably like middle class,
Okay.
Yeah, I never like wanted for anything, or it's pretty standard. Then when my parents got divorced, it kind of shook things up a little bit. I think that's a lot of kids go through that. I know my kids are going through understanding that, but no, it was pretty. It was good. I had a good childhood.
When you were growing up, who you were closer to, your mom or your dad? Were you like a daddy's girl, or were you like your mom's best friend?
I am definitely a daddy's girl. My siblings joke that I'm my dad's favorite. Me and my dad are still really close. My dad's awesome. My mom's really cool too. My mom's actually, like, I really admire my mom because my mom had a lot of trauma in her childhood. She grew up really poor, and she was the oldest of 7 kids, and she was molested by her stepdad, who my grandma stayed married to him. And she kind of overcame a lot, but she never wanted her children to experience that, and so I never knew anything about, what it was like, what any kind of trauma.
Odd question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all the women in the world, what percentage would you say have experienced some sort of sexual trauma, whether it's from a man or a woman, just experienced it in their life?
Honestly, I I think 100% of women have experienced some sort of trauma, just because you can't get through your adolescence without experiencing that. And not to say, because teenage boys don't really know what they're doing either.
I'm not talking about that kind of trauma though. I'm talking about like the real deal, like unwanted, like borderline, molested, rape, all those things.
Uh, See, I still think that, the Me Too movement, right? And I think a lot of people don't talk about it because it's also like, the media teaches little girls that they need to be, you need to be sexy, but you also need to be innocent. And all these contradictions that we grow up with as women. And then when you're a teenager, you're supposed to be like, have this sex appeal, but you're supposed to like not be, actually give into it. And you're always treated like you're a slut or you're a prude. And it takes a long time. I think it takes women about till they're like 30 till they finally feel comfortable in their skin. At least that was my experience.
Yeah, I agree. Because for me, I was gonna say I'm starting leaning towards every woman, because the amount of women that I've interviewed, the amount of women that I've encountered in my life, just thinking about the stories that I've heard and stuff like that, it's like almost I really can't think of like maybe a couple of people that come right to mind that they've never told me anything like that, right? And I guess my question for you is, in your opinion as a woman, why do you think that is?
Because I think it's hard being that transition from being a girl to a woman and trying to figure out where you're at, because unwanted. I lost my virginity when I was 14 to somebody who was like 19 and I didn't even understand that it was, because I thought it was so cool that, this older guy, but I had never had that experience before, and it was painful, but I felt like it was my fault. And I didn't say no, because I was willing, even though I was innocent and not knowing what I was getting myself into. So that is harmful too.
Yeah, I think like your statement you said earlier about like adolescents, boys, because they don't know they're learning too. Because I guess like the boy that you were talking about, were you dating him?
No.
No? You guys are just kind of like flirting around, and then one thing led to another?
He was 19 and I was 14. That's like like the mental developmental stage that we were at was very different.
Oh, you think that maybe like he kind of like, I ain't gonna say prayed, but like kind of like in hindsight took advantage of your naiveness?
Absolutely. He actually was taken to court by other girls because he liked to take girls' virginities. And he's 19, 20, and these are like early adolescents. I was in like, and I was just too scared to come forward because I thought it was my fault for a long time.
We have some weird people out here, man. You just like taking girls' virginities? Like, that's insane.
Little girls, 14 is pretty young.
Yeah. You know what's really crazy, though, about that is it's only 5 years, right? So a 34-year-old dating a 39-year-old, or a 20-year-old dating a 25-year-old, no one thinks that that's like wrong or crazy, right? When you hear about it, if you say like, hey, like how's your girlfriend? And you're like, oh, she's 20, and you're 25. No one's really gonna say anything. But then when you say, how's your girlfriend? And you're 19, and you're like, she's 14, then everybody's like looking at you like almost like a pedo,
That's why age of consent is a thing, right? Because developmentally we're progressing, and your brain isn't even fully developed till you're like 25, and I think even farther with males.
Men don't reach our peak until we're 35.
I don't know if men ever reach their fully. A few of them do, probably.
The average man, when they say peak, I guess,
Yeah.
from what the way I understood it was, they're speaking about like the man that you are when you're 35, like the drive that you have, the the career that you have, like that's usually where you're gonna be in life,
Hmm.
right?
Makes sense.
Typically, I mean, you have those people who are just go getters and they turn their life around. They, and life happens, right? But on average, like if you are, let's just say, I'm just gonna use an example. If you're a warehouse worker at 35 and that's what you've been doing, you're probably gonna be a warehouse worker. That's the industry you're gonna be in.
Mm-hmm.
If you're like and this is just with like also too without like I said, life happens and people change. But if you're just like a piece of shit person at 35 and you've been that way your whole life, you're probably gonna be that way,
Mm.
right? Like, but then in contrary, they say that women reach their peak at by 25.
Mm.
And every time I say this on here, I get people, women especially, that don't like it, but it's just unfortunately the truth. Women, the biggest thing that you guys did you get the thing that when it comes into relationships and stuff like that and just life in general, the one thing that you can always use in your advantage is what?
Your body.
Your body, your beauty, all that kind of stuff, right? And then what do men look for in women? I mean, you have those guys who just like older women, but typically they want the younger one, the one who looks all super hot.
Objectified. Yeah.
So like as you get older, and you think about, even women say it, right? They say like they look at their pictures when they're like your early 20s, teens. They're like, man, I done lost it. I was so pretty back then. Like da-da-da. And it's not that you got uglier. You're just more seasoned, right? And so that's why they say at 25 women hit their peak, because after that, as you get older, things happen. Some people get wrinkly, all that kind of stuff, right? I'm not saying that I necessarily, and I want to put this out there to you guys. I'm not saying that I necessarily like subscribe to this thinking. It's just in general speaking how it really is. It's just how it is. But go ahead. I know you're about to.
And I have a response. I think, I mean, if you're looking at like superficial parts of it, because a lot of parts of the female reaching her peak at 25 is maybe also because that's like your childbearing years are kind of towards the end, and that's a big piece. Men also look for a female who can provide. Men are supposed to be the providers, right? But the women are. Women do a lot in where they're childbearing and raising children and
Nurturing and all that.
nurturing. Yeah, and a lot of men need a strong woman to tell them what to do. Like they don't they don't know what to do with themselves without having a female in their life to like remind them that like that's not a good idea. Or
And that's
like,
what they
keep them out
say.
of
They say
trouble.
when a man finds a woman, a good woman, he finds a great thing.
Yeah,
You know.
because
But all strong men, I agree, because my life is better when I'm not single, right? Just overall, like my finances are better, my morale's better, my confidence is better, like just everything in life just runs more smoothly when I have a significant other, right?
what's funny about that is that women probably their lives are better without a man in their life, and when they're single, their lives can probably because I mean, in my experience, I've noticed that personally, I don't know if my picker is broken or I'm looking for validation from men that aren't necessarily on my level, or if I don't know, I'm trying to save everybody. But I think that for men, yeah, their life gets better when you add a relationship, and I think a lot of times women, their life might decrease.
I think that, yeah, when you choose the wrong guy,
Yes.
meaning because if you choose a guy who you gotta save or you gotta like do everything for, stuff like that, then yeah, I can see. Because, for instance, right? Because since we're on this topic, women, like you said earlier, men are supposed to provide, right? So that's not your baseline in a relationship. So when you come up to a relationship, even though you women scream they want their independence and they have their independence, they expect that the man that they choose or that they become in a relationship with, they expect for him to bring some kind of financial, enhancement. Meaning, like if my income is $2,000 a month by myself, then we need to be at least four, with combined. And if not, then that's at least you need to come with something, right? But when you got a guy who doesn't do anything, he doesn't work, he just sits around, and you got to take care of him, that woman is going to develop resentment for him. So yeah, of course her life is going to be worse when she has a boy,
Well,
right?
I was raised by, I mean, like, I'm a daddy's girl, right? And my dad, and I also started working at a young age, and I've always had a job. And my dad taught me. I mean, I'll never rely on a man because my freedom and independence is important to me. So I know that I will always make sure that I'm able to provide for myself. You know, like the trophy wife kind of thing. Um, and so, yeah, I've never really seen it like that. But
You said you'll never depend on a man.
I would never depend on a man. No.
I think that sitting here today, I can understand why you would say that, but I'm saying this also too, not knowing you, meeting you today, but I just think that it's the truth.
Right.
That I can understand why you would say that without even understanding knowing your story yet, because obviously there's probably been things that you've been through that's caused you to feel that way. But it's natural for a woman to submit and let her man take care of her. It's built into you, right? And so when the right man comes along and he allows you to naturally fall back into your femininity, then you will subconsciously depend on him and put those walls down. But you're not going to do that until that man brings that out of you. And it's not going to be anything he can say. It's not going to be one action. It's not going to be anything like that. It's just going to be how he genuinely is and makes you feel over time. He can't tell you like, oh, you can quit your job. I got all this money. I'll take care of you. It's not going to be that. It's a safety thing, a comfortable thing, right? So while you're on your own and you're single and you haven't had that yet, it's only natural that you will say, I'm never going to depend on a man. But once that man shows his face and, God brings him to you, I would think that if I was in contact with you at that time, you'd probably text me and be like, Herk, you were right. I found him. He's here. But I pray that you and all women and every woman watching this, I pray that you experience that in life. I think that for women, you deserve that, and for men, I think that we need that. We need to be able to be fulfilled as a man. We need to. That's a part of something that we have to do. We need to have our woman in her, natural femininity, right? Because first off, as a man, I'll say this: I don't want to be in a relationship with a wannabe alpha female, like thinking that she's about to be the man around here. I wouldn't want that. I would want my woman to feel like, oh, I can just be a lady. I can just sit back and enjoy life. And yeah, you might have to pay bills. It's not all about the money. It's just about like we might have to split things whichever way we can do it, 50-50, 60-40, whatever, and that's fine. That works for the relationship, but it's everything else around it. It's that right there brings peace, because we have understanding. You're carrying your load, I'm carrying mine, but it's everything else around it. It's the how you make me feel, how you treat me, how you talk to me, how you let me be me.
Yeah.
That's the most. I feel like people forget that that's the most important thing in a relationship, is being able to be you. So I think that all you guys deserve that, and I pray that all women get that, and I pray that all men, that we understand that that's important for us and for our egos and for our self-esteem, is to be that. We're not meant to. Me and my mom talked about this recently, and then we're gonna get back to your story. Me and my mom talked about this recently, and you guys watching, let me know if my mom is speaking facts or not. Recently, me and my mom were talking, and basically, I'm trying to think of how she said it. Oh, damn it! I had it in my head how she said it. We'll get back to it. I'm sorry. And if we don't, I'm gonna cut it out.
I think you nailed it though. The emotional safety is
Yeah,
kind
try
of
to
what
figure
you're
how she
talking
said it though, because I don't want to say it, because my mom she supports my podcast and she watches this, and normally people will say obviously, but I'm not gonna say obviously, because not all family members support you. But my mom does support me, and she does watch my podcast. So big shout out to you, Mom. So I don't want to misquote her on the internet, so I'll just refrain from it. But look, let's get back to you. How was school for you?
Like like school as a kid, as a
Kid, high school, whichever one you want to talk about.
I mean, school was good. I mean, like I said, I grew up in a small town, so I had close friends. School's always been easy for me because I'm like, I mean, I could go party in high school and still show up and ace a test the next day. Like it was always school's always easy, and I'm like a super nerd. Like I really like learning new things. It's kind of like I feel for always learning, and so I like school. I will say though, like when I was in high school, I had to have my dad sign something so I could get out of the AP classes because none of my friends were in it. And yeah, he was pretty upset about
I
that.
bet you're hindering your education.
For social
Yeah, for social.
reasons.
Yeah, that's crazy. Um, when your parents divorced, do you remember like why, like what they told you that moment, like why they're divorcing?
My parents were not compatible. They were married for like 20 years, like a long time. You know, they had 4 kids together. Well, 3 kids, and then my oldest brother found out that he wasn't really my dad's kid when he was like 25 or something. And his bio dad came looking for him. But my dad raised him. My mom, and that's actually why my parents got married, was because my dad was away at boot camp, and when my mom like found out she was pregnant.
Wait. So, this brother, um, he's older than you.
He's my oldest brother.
So their oldest kid is the reason why they got married, but he's not even their joint kid.
Right.
And so basically, their relationship, their marriage started off on a lie, which snowballed and led to you and your sibling being here, other sibling being here. Wow. And then you said they weren't compatible. What made them not compatible?
It's funny. They get along really good now. I think they're both in more compatible relationships than they were together. They fought a lot. I think my mom, like I said, she had a lot of trauma in her childhood, and my dad is such a wonderful person. I think he was kind of a ladies' man, and I think he maybe don't. If I'm wrong, Dad, you can correct me on this if you watch this, but I think he maybe felt like he settled for my mom. A little bit, if I'm being totally honest, and then I mean that's how my mom felt. I think in the relationship, and then
You ever talk to your mom about your older brother?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, did she know that it wasn't his?
The story goes, I guess what my mom told me was that she found out she was pregnant, and it was one of 2 guys, and she sent them both a letter. Like my dad was, like I said, he was away at boot camp in the Army, and the other guy, I guess, didn't get the letter. It fell behind a dresser at his sister's house or something, and my dad got the letter, and because he came back, I think my brother was like 6 months old by the time he first met him, but my dad's the one who came back, so that's who my mom married.
Did she ever say what was in this letter? The reason I'm asking is because you sent a letter to 2 guys, and first off, let me just say this, just in case your mom watches. I'm not bashing your mom. I just want that to be known. I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to understand. So, your mom sent out a letter to 2 guys that could possibly be his father, and she was waiting to see which one would come back. That's why I would like to know what's in the letter, because it's like, what did she say? Like, I'm pregnant. If you think it's yours, come be with me.
Or probably just saying it is yours, is what I'm assuming.
So did she ever tell, if she ever told your dad that she sent a letter to another guy too?
I don't think my dad ever knew. Like my brother, when he went to go get his driver's license at 16 is when he first found out that he actually didn't have the same last name as us. He didn't have my dad's last name, he has my mom's maiden name. And then he was like 23 or 24 when his bio dad actually showed up at his work and looking for him.
See, that's what's interesting too. Why did they go with the mom's maiden last name, not his? If he came back for them to get together, and she was
My
still
brother
pregnant.
was 6 months old by the time he met him.
Oh, okay. I thought okay. There we go. So I was thinking that she sent the letter, and then after like boot camp and basic, I mean not boot camp and basic, but boot camp and then AIT, when he, got to his duty station or whatever, they came together and, so I was thinking it was a short period of time, but okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. My dad was actually stationed in Kingston, so he came back, which is right here.
Yeah.
But I mean, my mom's the oldest of 7 kids, right? She's got 4. There's 5 girls and 2 boys. My dad has 5 boys and 2 girls in his family. But my mom was so you gotta like put a little bit more context to it too. Like she had a lot of trauma of her childhood, and then when she was 18, she graduated high school, came home, and they changed the locks and they put all her stuff in the front yard, and so she was homeless the day she graduated from high school. So she had to go live in her car.
The day that she graduated, they kicked her out.
Mm-hmm.
They said after 18 you can't be here.
You're done, yeah.
That's insane. I hear parents talk about that, and Mom, I think that you said this to me a couple times, but jokingly, I don't think she really meant it. And I think that's how most parents mean it. Like, most, you're 18, you're out of here, or go to school or something. I don't think I never really thought that they would do it, but I actually kicked her out. So what did she do after that?
I'm pretty sure she lived in her car for like a year or 2 after that, and she was working at like a fishing pole factory or something.
Okay. Mom, if you're watching this, come be on the podcast. Your story has me intrigued. I'm supposed to be interviewing your daughter. During high school, because you went through the divorce at 15?
Yeah.
How was that for you?
That was high school was hard at that, like right at that age, because that when you go through those transition years from like elementary to middle school or middle school to high school, that's like a big transition, right? And then that was when I lost my virginity, somewhere between middle school and high school. And I didn't tell anybody, and I kind of kept that to myself. And I didn't have my mom, right? And so I was like, right after puberty had just started, so I'm still just kind of figuring out all this stuff, and then my mom wasn't there. I did blame her for a long time. I didn't talk to my mom for a long time until I became a mother, and then I kind of saw her in a different light, and was like, oh my gosh, you're human, and you can have flaws and make mistakes and figure it out. And so, but for a long time, I didn't talk to her.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, and I'm not going to say too much about this, but I feel like just from hearing recent stories, not just necessarily on the podcast, but just in real life, I feel like a lot of kids, they look at their parents as superheroes, and that they don't have emotions, they don't make flaws, they're supposed to be perfect. What they say is, the law, like their parents are all knowing, almost like God, right? And I think there's actually there's a group of people out there that think that moms are actual gods.
Creators.
Because... Oh, we're not going down that path. You're not gonna bait me with that one. I'm not doing it. We could discuss that one. That's a hot topic. But no, yeah, they believe that that women are gods because they make babies and all that kind of stuff. And hey, I ain't gonna sit here and argue with you if you think that they're gods or whatever. But what I was actually really getting at though when I asked the question was, your dad was like your best friend. You guys are your daddy's girl. But you love your mom, close to her. They divorce. But a year prior to them divorcing, you technically were SA'd to lose your virginity. So in this moment, like, how are you, like, at that moment, like, with all that going on, like, do you remember, like, how you were feeling? Like, how you felt mentally and everything?
I mean, I kind of, I just internalized a lot of things. Like I remember I started wearing my oldest brother's clothes, like really baggy clothes, in school, and just kind of hiding, because I was like hiding behind baggy clothes.
Hiding, just totally trying to like totally hide, or just like hide like your body, like you didn't want the guys to approach you or see you or something like that.
I think it was like my way of dealing with like a depression. That's how my mom actually kind of found out that had happened, because I just started acting different.
You know what? Actually, that kind of makes sense. So basically, you're using the clothes as a way to, like, if I wear these big clothes, no one's going to see me. Like, no one sees me, because obviously we subconsciously believe that the provocative clothing and all that is how you get people's attention. And so if I dress baggy or, like, tomboyish or whatever, then maybe people won't see me and I can just kind of, like, skate by. Oh, okay. How did that work out for you?
I mean, the first year of high school, like I would eat lunch in the bathroom, like, and just kind of hide because I didn't want, I just didn't make the effort to, like, I just lost touch with all my middle school friends. I had a couple of friends, like, yeah, in my hometown, you know, but none of them were in the same grade as me. So I didn't have like any friends, in high school. Not like I was like picked on or anybody. I just purposely just didn't want to be noticed. And then I started doing Running Start because college was way better than high school.
Okay. How did you when you did you graduate?
Yeah.
When you graduated, like how was that for you?
I mean,
What was next for you? Like,
at the time, I mean, I remember fighting with my dad about like not wanting to go to college because I was about done with my associate's degree at that point because I did Running Start, and then it was just kind of like expected that I'd go to college, and then I did move up to Bellingham with my four of my best friends, which was college was my undergrad was awesome. That was a really good time. I don't regret that at all. Well, I mean that's where I met my kid's dad, which this guy he bought a college hoodie. Didn't was not a college student. He just bought a college sweatshirt to walk around campus to meet college chicks.
dudes are wild, man. I don't. I can't think of nothing right now that I've done like that, but
It's pretty brilliant. I mean, it worked.
yeah. I'm just gonna go to UW and buy a hoodie and just be like, yeah, I go here. That's crazy. Okay. Did you ever finish your degrees? All of them?
I got my undergrad in, oh gosh, I tell my oldest son that he's graduated from college because I found out I was pregnant like the day before I turned in my paperwork to graduate, and he's going to be 15 this month. So,
Okay.
and then I'm currently in graduate school.
Oh, congrats. What's your degree for?
The degree I'm going for right now is social work.
Okay. What do you want to do with the social work?
So the thing I love about social work is that you can wear so many different hats, right? That's kind of why I got my undergrad in communication because that's you always need communication to do anything, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then I got into mental health. I was a behavioral health counselor at Kitsap Mental Health for 2 years, and doing like counseling therapy, and that's what I thought I wanted to do. But I did social work because it's just more versatile. Like right now, I'm working with the Office of Public Defense, and I'm helping people with substance use disorder, just kind of helping them navigate any obstacles with their legal issues.
Okay. What made you want to go in that field though? Like,
Well, mental health is something. I mean, I'm very passionate about a lot of things when it comes to because I feel like a lot of times we're focusing on mental illnesses and everybody's like self-diagnosing themselves with all these different things, and I think a lot of times life is just hard. That doesn't mean there's something wrong with you, like and we don't learning to just because you're grieving something that's your or like you're going through a heartbreak, that doesn't mean something's wrong with you. That's your body reacting the way it's supposed to, right? But those emotions don't make it any easier to get through these things, right?
true.
And I think that's a big thing is that people don't understand how to process emotional experiences.
So, would you say that people's lack of like emotional intelligence is like the root of like, one of the roots of all a lot of their mental illness?
I think a lot of things are situational, and people, especially sadly men, because there's such a stigma around mental health in men because it's like demasculating when if you say that you can't handle it on your own, and you gotta tough it out, and the way we treat little boys, and I'm a boy mom, and so it's important for me to walk my kids through that. Granted, my 15-year-old's like a foot taller than me at this point, and he struggles with emotional management, emotional regulation. That's a really big reason why I'm grateful that I have the experience because it helps me be a mother when I'm wearing that hat. Had a really tough experience with my son last year. Actually, he left school and he said he was going to go jump off the Manette Bridge.
The what bridge?
The Manette Bridge. It's right here in Bremerton.
Okay.
That was his plan. And if you get so far that you've made a plan, I mean, but he was the whole time he's walking to the bridge, he's calling me. Like he probably called me like 50 times that day. And we had a safety plan. He knows that if I was at work, because if I'm in session, I can't, like doing a therapy session, I can't just like answer my phone, you know. But if he calls me more than twice, then I know it's an emergency. I actually walked out mid-session that day, and I texted. I'm on the phone with my sister, and I texted. I'm on the phone with my son. I texted my sister, and I told her to call 911. And the cops had beat me to the bridge.
You didn't finish the therapy session, did you?
No, I walked out as soon as I got
okay.
on the phone with my son. Yeah.
Okay. And how did he get through that? How did you help him get through that?
I mean, I was just his mom. Like that's what he needed, you know. Like I'm his person when he's going through something, because my kids would always say like home is wherever mom is. And we went through the steps where you know they're evaluated for crisis response, and then we went to the hospital, which they just put you in this like empty cement room, and he wasn't allowed to have his phone. He had to wear paper clothes, and I sat with him for hours waiting for a social work to show up, and he was so bored and he was so upset because the thing about being a teenager is hard, right? In and of itself. And then we've got, like I said, I've got a lot of relationship issues that I'm having to process and realize that that's being passed on. My kids are having to deal with that too, you know. But he just needed the time to, I don't know. I think he was more traumatized by having to sit in this like hospital room for hours.
I guess because like you're in this field, right? You do, like you said, therapy sessions. You do something that's involved with like, you know, like social work, mental health, all that kind of stuff. And then obviously you guys are trained on like how to like, you know, talk people down or talk with people and stuff like that and comfort them and stuff like that. But it's different when it's your child because
Absolutely.
you can't treat them like a patient, especially when they know that you are in that field, because they're gonna be like, don't patient me, you know what I mean? So how, like, as how do you turn that off and then turn on, I'm here to support you and be there for you as your mom? Like, how do you, like, what process do you have to go through mentally to get to there? Because it's two different approaches.
Absolutely. Well, it's for me, I can't really get into clinical mode with my kids because I'm too emotionally invested in the experience, right? And being in social work or any kind of helping field, there's professional boundaries, and there's a reason for that, because when you're emotionally invested in something, it clouds your judgment, and your ability to really show up in the way that they need for that. My kids also, for some reason, at this point in their life, they don't. I try to teach coping skills, and I'm hoping that it will get in, but I think he takes what his therapist says with more weight than what I say when it comes to clinical stuff.
Oh, for sure. Because you're just mom talking.
Right.
Yeah. But then also too, I really feel like if you probably have some of the same, you know, like information that the therapist is giving him, but I feel like if you gave it to him, like you said, like if you gave it to him or you went into clinical mode or whatever, he's still not gonna be as receptive.
Right.
You know, so okay. How's he doing now?
He's doing pretty good. We're kind of in a really complicated life situation right now, because life. Well, I'll just share because that's another topic we can kind of go on about. My kids currently, I'm actually not allowed to. I have supervised visits with my kids right now, because for two reasons. Their father was a fentanyl addict for after we separated. He couldn't handle the emotional turmoil of losing his family, so we got into fentanyl, and he was an addict for the last 8 years. He's sober now, but he overdosed in my house. And child protectors heard about that. They said I was neglectful because I couldn't predict that he was going to relapse. And then my husband, like I said, that's a complicated situation. And they said that because I allowed him to abuse my kids, that's their version of events. So they took my kids and put them with their dad. And so my kids are now currently their dad, who's never been a father before, newly sober, in drug court, and trying to figure out how to parent two teenagers by himself. We get along though, like, I've always I tried to help him out, so I was here. But my oldest son wants to come home really bad. He misses his mom, and I'm his person. He's still he gets these really big emotions, and we're working on emotional regulation. He's a big kid too. He's like 6 foot. And I'm his person that helps him calm down. I'm the person that he goes to, and I'm his steady. And so we're trying to navigate that.
If your boys were watching right now, what would you like say to them? What would you want them to know about how you feel about the situation towards them, and what you hope?
I hope that we can come out of this still intact, and that just because a system or some sort of thing that comes in and says that it's authority doesn't change the dynamic that we know to be true.
Now, what's interesting to me is that they took the kids because your boyfriend at the time,
My kid's dad,
he's
the one who overdosed.
Okay, yeah, and then they went to be with
The same person.
Okay, so I was right.
Mm-hmm.
They took him from you
Mm-hmm.
to put them with him, but he's the one that overdosed. You didn't overdose.
No, I didn't overdose. I've never even, no.
Yeah, so it's like, to me, it makes no sense.
It does, yeah, you're join the club.
Okay. How do your kids feel about all this? I know you said your son wants to come home, but like overall, like this whole situation, like how has it like affected them, and how do they feel from your point of view?
I think they've always maintained a relationship with their dad because it was important to me that he's their dad, right? And he's the guy who bought the college hoodie, right? And him and I were friends for a long time before we dated. I've known the guy for like 20 years. He's got a good heart. He's a good guy. Just because somebody's an addict doesn't make them a bad person inherently, right? And he struggled for years, but I let him come over because it was important to me that he had a relationship with them. So they and he was sober when I was letting him stay here. I didn't know he was going to relapse. But anyways, they're good. They have a strong relationship with him. He's just on the other side of town. I think that my kids feel like if they can't be with me, they want to be with their dad. But they also, this is home to them. And I think it's confusing that like when they need to make a doctor's appointment, when they need to be picked up, when they don't feel good, when anything, they call mom because that's who they know to call. And so it's confusing to them. Right. To be restricted when also they don't feel like I did anything wrong either. And so it's confusing.
I thought Washington was a mother's state too.
Neither of my exes actually, because this is my person I married after, and then my kid's dad, right? Mm-hmm. Neither one of them have gotten any consequences for their actions. I've gotten all the brunt of all of the consequences. I have more stipulations to follow. I have a higher, I just got a letter saying that my parental rights are going to be terminated if I don't start. They want me to do a psych eval, all these things that I'm like, but I'm in grad school. I'm a mental health counselor. I have all these credentials already, and none of that. I didn't predict that these harm were going to happen. So now I'm guilty for neglecting that.
But you still put them with the user. That makes absolutely no sense.
Right. And they're not even verifying that he's sober.
If anybody from Washington that is watching this, you guys need to do better, man. That's crazy.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead. Of course.
It's kind of what I'm in this. I have this unique position though, because I will say, I think Child Protective Services exists for a reason because children do get harmed. I know people who have had experienced like abuse as children and things, but the system itself is broken and doesn't know, how they don't know how to navigate these things, right? But I'm in this unique position because I also know that I'm not the only mother that's experiencing these things but I have the education and the platform to actually like do something about it. So I just did a research project at school where I interviewed child protective service workers, and I was trying to figure out how they cognitively come up with risk and safety when they're doing their investigations, and so I can use my personal life in my education and as I expand.
There's no child support involved. I had a feeling,
He owes me $72,000 in back child support.
but now they got you on child support.
Now, yeah. Well, no, he went and got TANF, which is temporary assistance for needy families, right?
And you have to be on child support. In order
So now I have to
qualify.
pay the state back, and now now I have to pay him child support, even though he's never paid me a dime ever.
Yeah, because in order for him to receive the state benefits, you have to be. Yeah, wow. He owes you 72,000, and now you're paying. Now I wonder if what you pay comes off of his back pay.
Mm-mm.
No,
I asked.
I'm
I
just
said,
curious.
if can we just start deducting it, and then they said no.
Okay.
It's two different orders.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
What's like the biggest thing that you feel like is wrong with our approach to dealing with mental health?
I think, well, the biggest piece is that we're not, it's like I don't want to say dehumanize or like take the dignity away from somebody when they're dealing with crisis. I think is a big piece of that. Like I said, when my son was sitting in the hospital, like that was more traumatized, especially for youth more than anything. But any kind of clinical setting is not necessarily conducive to mental health, and we know this, right? Like that's why people like with meditation and being in an environment where you feel emotionally safe. But when you're in an unfamiliar environment and it's clinical and sterile and all that, and that's not what you need for mental health.
Yeah, it's not natural.
Right.
Yeah, I think sometimes the clinical stuff is beneficial. Like even with like therapy, to be honest, like even with therapy, I feel like it's beneficial. It has its benefits. You probably learn a lot. I can't really speak too much on what goes on in therapy because I've actually never done therapy. But I think that secluding yourself, that's what I was going to say earlier about my mom. Aha. She said that she doesn't believe that we're made to be alone.
No, we're social
That
creatures.
we're supposed to be social. We're supposed to be, you know, have these relationships, whether they're platonic or intimate. That's just how we're built, and so we become a lot of our depression. She didn't say this. That was just her statement. Okay, so I don't want to be like I'm quoting my mom. But I just feel like a lot of like the issues that we have when are not tied strictly to like something like trauma, that a lot of it has to do with just being, a loner or being by yourself, because that's a part of like your build is the social, the social interaction, and when you don't have that for so long, it's like a void, and then you get so used to be. I feel like, and I've never been a loner, so I'm just speaking from what I assume. And if I'm wrong or you have insight, for sure, speak up. But I just feel like people they get so used to being and comfortable being alone, that they think that that's what they actually enjoy. And then next thing you know, you've been alone so long that you don't even know how to be social, and you just you just get more and more depressed, and then you just kind of like spiral into like this like dark hole, because like I said, it's almost like those people who've been in relationships and their partner has controlled them and made them where they can't have a social life. And it's like when people say like I lost myself, I feel like that's what it is when you're just sitting at home, or you're just being a loner. Like you're gonna eventually lose who you are, like, because all the video games and the reality shows and all that stuff, eventually a part of you is going to want to be social. You know what I mean? So
I think we get addicted to dopamine hits that we get from like social media and like all those things, right?
But that's like it's like a quick hitter. Social
Right.
media is like a quick hitter. It's like, ooh, like I interacted with these people in the comments, and people liked my photos, and ooh, I have friends, right? But then when you log off the app, the reality sets in, and it's like it's not necessary. I got caught up before saying that it was fake love, but it's just not tangible love. It's not tangible affection. A lot of people say affection is, stuff that's like intimacy, like hugging, kissing, all this stuff. I feel like affection can just be being in the presence of someone else.
Absolutely.
You know, like just being heard or just having a drink or watching a TV show together. That could be a form of like minute affection.
Absolutely. I mean, have you, the other part about mental health that I think we're over medicated. I think that not everybody needs to be, like medication because but the, on the caveat to that though is that there is a lot of, it's a hormonal, if you look at it from a scientific perspective. Like, have you heard of the love hormone, oxytocin? And so that's released during intimacy, which is not just like sexual type of intimacy. It's also cuddling and just like feeling emotionally safe, or like, seeing a friend you haven't seen in a long time, that like that, or having that kind of like bond with somebody. And actually, resilience theory says that you only, like a child who's experienced any kind of trauma or anything, they need one person that they know will show up for them, they know will love them, that unconditional love. And most kids, I think a lot of people have, not everybody has that, but it doesn't have to be a caregiver. It can be a teacher, it can be a coach, it can be anybody. But like, that's how you build resilience, which is your ability to come back from adversity or experiencing setbacks. And so we build that by knowing that somebody gives a crap.
Yeah. I never thought about that one. Yeah, but yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think about like the kids who I've seen on like shows or like growing up. Those kids who like have a horrible home life, but like you said, they have that cool basketball coach or that cool, nice homeroom teacher who just always be nice to them, and that gives them motivation to, not motivation, but like you said, the resilience, the strength to survive at home, just to come back. They're excited to come to school, or they're excited to go to church, or wherever these people they're getting this feeling from. So yeah, I totally agree.
You got to have that one safe place. And what's cool about, like, so oxytocin is also like this is just a little caveat thing about it, is that life is created out of love, right? Like, because it's created, like, the whole point of sexual intimacy should be based out of love, right? But that's what's released, oxytocin. But then it also, in order for a woman to go into labor, it requires oxytocin. In order for your breast milk to come in, it requires oxytocin. So this is this hormone that is required for.
So that's not just natural. You had a baby, so you produce breast milk.
Wait, repeat the question.
So that's not just natural to have a baby. You have a baby, so your body starts to produce breast milk.
Well, that's how it's supposed to work, right? That's the design of it, right? That's why, because life is supposed to be designed out of love. But women who have experienced like trauma, and you might struggle to release that oxytocin, so you might have to be induced and have like an artificial, which is pitocin, or you might. I think that. If you can't release that oxytocin, then you're going to struggle to have your breast milk. A lot of women don't have their breast milk doesn't come in right, and they struggle to breastfeed. And that's where we have formula, and so modern science can compensate for these things, right? But the way that it was designed, it was out of through love. Life is created and sustained.
Well, hold on, let me back up real quick. So you're not saying that the mom who has the baby and struggles to have breast milk, you're not saying that they don't love their child. You're saying that. What are you saying?
I'm saying that I'm saying that they've experienced trauma in their life that they haven't been felt like that love. Like a lot of marriages don't have a lot of love in them, and just because sex doesn't necessarily, not even just like unwanted sex, but just sometimes it doesn't always require love to have that, right? Babies, but in order for you to go into labor, like contractions, it requires that oxytocin. That's why sometimes people struggle to go into labor. So I think they just haven't experienced that affection and love, or they've had trauma in their life, and that's why their body just isn't acclimated to do it.
Is that like a flaw within the man that they had the baby with, or is that like something that maybe there's the mom, maybe she's been depressed or something like that?
Or experience trauma, or different things. And this isn't necessarily like always the thing, but it does but it is oxytocin that creates the labor contractions, and then that's what helps the breast milk come in.
Okay. Dang, learned something new today.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Oxytocin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's your favorite word?
Favorite word? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know you weren't expecting that.
I know, that's a hard question, because words are powerful, and man, Words can, I just like language. I'm also a writer, and I mean, I don't think I could tell you a favorite word, but I can tell you that the words that we use when we our inner dialogue and the words that we say to each other have more weight than we give it credit a lot of times.
Explain.
Something, I mean, we talk about that inner critic, right? That inner dialogue. That's why, have you ever heard of like positive affirmations? They do work, like in the way because it creates what you believe, right? So cognitive behavior therapy is like you can't have a feeling without having a thought first, and thoughts are language, right? And so our feelings are based on our thoughts, and then our behavior is based on our feelings. We react to things based on how we feel about it, but we first had a thought that created that feeling.
So, would you say that the thought comes first on the initial feeling? Meaning, like, for instance, right? So, let's just say a feeling of sadness, right? Basically, something happened that maybe I thought about something. I thought about my grandma dying. Let's just say that, right? Which caused me to feel sad. But my sadness could now trigger other thoughts. So it's kind of like a circle. They both play off each other.
And you're going to react differently based on the feeling that you're having in that moment. Like if you think about how powerful emotions are too, that like if you're angry and somebody like says something to you, like you're going to react in that anger and say something maybe you didn't react, in a way that you might regret later, or different things. And so our emotions directly relate to how we behave.
Okay, now let me ask you this. Do you believe that feelings are real?
Real? Absolutely. I think I don't know if it's my theory is our feelings are our built-in alarm system. I think our bodies are like a vessel that are wiser than our minds sometimes, because sometimes like, have you ever felt like this urge to cry and you didn't know why? I mean, I don't know as a man if that's something, but like this overwhelming feeling like talking about something, and I can't get the words out because the tears are going to come out.
I think you just said something. First off, let me just address that. I think I agree. I can see your point. But I think you just said something that was kind of like indirectly powerful. You were explaining, and you said, I don't know if that's a thing for men. Right? First off, it is Men's Mental Health Month. But I always say this, right? Because you were talking about you felt the need the want to cry, but you didn't know why, right? And you said you don't know if that's something that men experience. Yes, we do. And I want to talk about that because, one, it is men's mental health. Two, I always say to people, man, if God gave men and women both tear ducts, right? And when you're born and you're a baby, before you learn how to talk, that's one of your forms of communication is how you cry.
Right.
You can have a happy cry, you can have a sad cry, you can have a hungry cry, a sick cry, all those, right? Then you learn, as kids, then you learn how to talk, right? So now you can communicate all those same things that the different cries represented it.
Right.
The Almighty God who developed you, who created you, if he didn't want you to cry, he could have dried your tear ducts up. Right? Huh?
Oh, yeah,
right? He would have dried your tear ducts up, because now you have another form of communication. But what does your tear ducts also do? They communicate emotion, right? Which is a form of emotion is to cry. So men have tear ducts. So I don't understand why people, I'm not saying you, I'm just saying people in general, why people, men, especially men, why they think that men aren't supposed to cry. And why do we instill this into our boys at young ages that we're not supposed to cry and we're not supposed to be emotional? No, we're supposed to be emotionally intelligent. We're supposed to be, which encompasses understanding how to control those emotions. And then we also need to understand what calls for the cry. I can't think of the word I was going to use, but what calls for the cry? Like, I mean, not everything that makes a woman cry should make a man cry, and vice versa. you know, because we're different. Our makeup is different. The way we operate, the way we think, everything is different about us. Our struggles are different, right? So you might cry because uh, the lights might get cut off on Friday, right? I don't think that a man should cry about that. I think that he should do something about it,
So
right?
should a woman.
But if you have a man, you if you have a man, you subconsciously, like we talked about, you subconsciously, depend on him, right? You expect him to do something, right? But even if it's not that, it's just our makeup. Men are problem solvers. We're providers. That's part of providing is solving a problem. The problem is we got a bill that needs to get paid, and we figure out how it's going to get paid. Whether it comes from my account, your account, whoever's account, doesn't matter. You're supposed to be until you figure that out as a man, especially a man who have people who depend on them, woman, children, family, whatever. You should be not mentally focused on anything else besides. I can speak for me. That's how I am. You tell me, you give me a bill, tell me my lights getting cut off next week. I'm going to literally, until we figure out till that payment is paid and I see paid, I ain't going to be able to focus on this podcast. I'm not going to be able to focus on the gym, nothing else. But I'm not going to be crying. I'm not going to be sitting there crying.
Can I respond to that?
Of course.
I was trying to few things that you said but in the bill thing in particular, just I think that we should be teaching all people, regardless of gender, away from learned helplessness. That we should all be problem solvers in taking care of ourselves and the people that matter to us. And I think that that's not gender. I don't think that's gender neutral. But I do think because I think the tears would come if you feel helpless, and I think that both genders should be able to provide that. But not to say that wasn't a good example, because I also think that so tears are. I see tears are a way that your body physically responds in a physical release of emotion, and it is healthy. I think that it can be overused, and a lot of times because we baby little girls when they start crying, not to say this in the worst way, but I think we teach little girls how to grow up and become manipulative by using those
Using their
as
emotions.
tools. Yeah, and we teach boys to stifle that because that's not masculine, and you can't just sit around and cry about everything. Not to say there's not, but we need to be teaching them what is an appropriate time to cry. Is it appropriate if you lose your mom? That's an appropriate thing to cry about, right?
Yeah.
For no matter who you are. But I think that it can be misconstrued at times. But I also think like the emotions, men have emotions just because we are all human, right? Regardless. And having emotions is, God designed you that way for a reason, because it is your emotions are telling you something. So we need to be learning how to respond to that and question that. What is this emotion telling me? So that I can then respond appropriately instead of reacting based on that emotion.
I will say this, though. I want to clarify. I wasn't saying that problem solving was gender specific.
Right.
What I was saying was that it's a part of your chemical makeup for men to be that. It's
That
just
masculinity piece,
you know.
yeah.
So like you were saying, yes, I totally agree that we should be teaching. If a man's lacking that, or he doesn't seem like he's interested in it growing up, it should be. It's up to us men, fathers, to teach our younger boys that, and how to go about that and all that. But definitely for the women and the young girls, I think that you should, because you don't know when you're going to get that partner that's going to be that support for you. So until that happens, you got to do it for yourself, right? But it's like my biggest thing that I was trying to get out of that was just that if you as a female, you call your homegirl and you're bawling your eyes out, and this is gonna prove the point right here. If you call your homegirl, and you be like, girl, my lights is getting cut off tomorrow, you're crying, she's going to comfort you, she's going to hear you out, and then, if she's a good friend, she's going to try to help figure out what's your plan, what you're going to do, or if, might invite you to stay over till you can figure it out, something, right? Flip the role. Now you got man calling a man. And I call and I'm like, bro, my lights is getting... He goes like, bro, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, why are you crying? Like, stop crying. Like, he gonna start asking you serious... See, this is the difference. Men, when you have real men around you, you ask your fellow men friends real questions,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why the guys circle that I have now, I love them because they, as much as I'm an alpha male, as much as I'm intelligent, I make a lot of decision and mistakes. It's just natural, right? And so they police me up. They lace me up. And we do it to each other. We don't just let each other just walk around here and fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
But like I was saying, that call, if I called him and said was crying like that, and you know, he's not gonna make me feel bad for crying, but he's gonna be like, okay, look, let's get into this. Like, what happened to your money? Are you still working? Start asking me real questions because it's not enough to just pay that bill.
Right.
It's more important about how we're gonna keep happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's that.
I think we need to make it more socially acceptable for men to express emotions. Because I think a lot of men don't have that kind of social circle that where they feel comfortable talking about emotional things. Sometimes their partner is the only person that they have to talk to about any kind of like emotions that they're going through.
If they have that.
If even that, right? Because a lot of times it's not even that. So it's like it's socially acceptable for a woman to talk about what she's going through emotionally, and it is less socially acceptable for men to even say that I'm having an emotional reaction to this. If it's not anger, happiness, or contentment, then maybe a little bit of sadness if it's relevant. But there's like the crayon box, if you will, is really big for the amount of emotions. And I think the most helpful thing that we can do is provide the language and vocabulary for the emotional experience and make it socially acceptable for men to have those conversations.
Now, when you say socially acceptable, are you saying like just be at the bar and be talking about this, or are you talking about socially acceptable, like like between friends or whatever?
I'm talking about normalize it, make more television shows or different, like, in the things that we watch, and make it more normal for men to be able to have those experiences instead of that like toxic kind of masculinity where he just suppresses all of his emotions.
Toxic masculinity. What does that mean to you?
Toxic masculinity is it's like the shadow side of the masculine, the where you're controlling and dominating and without having any like accountability and because in order for we all embrace both masculine and feminine traits, right? And a truly healthy masculine person would also be able to embrace those. They call them feminine traits, but more it's basically just vulnerability and being allowed to have those places where they can safely be vulnerable. Because without being able to express vulnerability, you can't get in touch with your emotional side.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because what you just described is what is known as a beta male. Yeah, and I think that it's important that men we definitely we need to learn how to have controlled vulnerability. And what I mean by that, it's not like some clinical term. It's like something I made up. Basically, what I mean by controlled vulnerability is meaning like understanding when, where is the appropriate time,
Having those
and
safe
who
places.
is the appropriate people to have this around.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just don't think that as a man, I don't think that it's healthy or it's a good look
Absolutely.
to be say at freaking the park and just bawling your eyes out because of your problems as a man, right? Or as honestly as anyone, but definitely as a man. But I definitely just don't think that that's the right place. If it happens, then it does, and then it is what it is. But I just don't think that that's the place. I think that we need to understand that hey, men, we get you a partner that lets you be emotionally vulnerable, without judgment, or what's that word? Reciprocity.
Yeah.
And then also, I told my brother this recently. I feel like any man who doesn't have a circle, or at least one man who is like just doesn't give a shit about stroking your ego, and truly cares about you. If you're going through life without a man like that in your life, a friend in your life that's a male, I feel like you're setting yourself up for failure.
Well, we need to have more adult men that can be guides for younger boys growing up to, to show them what an actual man looks like. and we also, because I'm a boy mom, right, and I've got teenage boys, and I didn't do so well in choosing the men that they look up to, and that's something I have to live with because I can't teach my boys how to be men, right?
Mm.
But so there's
No, 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 no. We can't walk past that. Why do you feel like? Because I've asked this question to my mom. Oh man, my mom's gonna be in the comments on this one. So just make sure you watch the comments. Cause she considers herself to be, and I can see her perspective. She considers herself to, in a sense, to somewhat be a single mom. Although she was married to my stepdad for quite a while. I mean, I think technically they're still married. I don't know, but either way, she was with him, like physically with him, for at least a decade, right? If not longer, for sure. And so technically she wasn't, but by the way that she, from her perspective, the way that she raised us and stuff like that, she feels more like a single mom, right? But she thinks that she can raise boys and men, right? But you say you don't, you can't.
Well, she did a pretty. I mean, she did a good job. I would say that you have, you emit like masculinity in a healthy way. Like
Okay.
from what I've seen of you, so I would say that she succeeded in that. I'm in the
No,
midst
no
of
take.
it.
Not to cut you off, but
Sorry.
just so we have clarity here, and there's no shade to my mom, but the man that I am today, is not 100% from my mom. She gave me, my mom gave me the ground tools, to become a good person, a good person in society, make good decisions, have good morals, ethics, and stuff like that. And then my stepdad, which was her husband for that decade or longer, he taught me a lot about being a man through the good things and the bad things that he's been through. But then totally, this is the most important part. Once I got into life, at some point, it wasn't at first, it took a while, I had to kind of like truly self-evaluate. And I think that's what most people don't do, is they don't truly self-evaluate. They it's like they look inside themselves with the shades half open, right? Because they're it hurts it hurts and it sucks when you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, no, it's truly my fault. I'm the problem. It's easier and it feels better to say, no, Jesse, you're the problem, not me. Herk, I didn't do it. It's not me. It's Jesse's fault. Jesse did this,
Yeah.
right? And
No
then
growth in that. No growth in that.
yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. Like over time, you're gonna always circle back to that because you're building it off of a lie. You're never actually dealing with the problem. I'm healed based off of this lie that I told myself. And then what happens is, if the situation with Jesse doesn't roll back around, then the next situation I get in, I'm just gonna do have the same behavior, right? So that's why they say, apologies without changed behavior are empty.
Yeah. And to build off that, that's something I've realized, this epiphany I had recently, was that a huge red flag to me, if I meet a man and he has all negative relations with with all of his exes, I'm running as far away from that man as I can, because if everything is always his ex-girlfriend's fault or his ex-wife's fault, and she's the villain in everything, then I mean, that's just setting myself up to be the next villain in his story.
Now, what if they are the villains in every story, but he also tells you, I mean, maybe like, just give an example, like, I can't really give an example because I've never really been through it, but maybe she is the villain, but he's just like, I did X, Y, Z, and that's probably why she started to feel this way, and so that's why she did DEF.
There's accountability in that statement.
So as long as they have, the ex can be the villain as long as he takes some kind of accountability. You won't run.
I guess it depends, because I don't know, because if he's really villainizing her, because I've been in relationships that have done some pretty horrible things. I mean, maybe not comparatively, but to me, and I still cannot, because I know that I loved this person, I still can't, I'm not villainizing them. And so there, because that love overpowers that. So, and I can also see people for people. And so, I don't know, I just don't, I think that when, you're villainizing somebody, then you're just running away from the accountability from
Yeah.
what part
I
you
really don't even like harping on like saying like bad stuff about exes, right? For instance, I'll say this like on a sexual tip, right? Like I hate when people be like they be with somebody and you see them and taking all these pictures, posting them, we're all hearting them, liking them, couple goals, all this shit. Then they break up and then, oh that fat bitch, or that this that that. This is like, bro, like she's the same size she was when you were with her.
Right.
Like she won't fat then, or he won't this or that then. Like I hate that. I really hate that. Like take the physical stuff out of it, because now if she's just a bitch or he's just a bitch because their personality and the way they act, then so be it. That's you found that out and that's why you left probably, right? But the whole physical stuff, I hate it. I really get mad, and especially I really get mad at dudes when they do that. They be like, "Oh, man, fuck that fat bitch," you know, and I'm just like, if she was fat when you were with her, bro. Like, when y'all made that baby, she was fat.
Right. You're putting somebody else down in ways to just make yourself feel better.
Yeah,
Right.
I just hate it. It's just
Yeah.
because I feel like I feel like when you go to that extent, I feel like you probably are the problem, because typically, the other person isn't doing that to that person. Typically,
I
it
think
happens sometimes.
we all contribute to the problem. That's why every two different people can date and they can be toxic, and then they get with other people and they might not be, or they might heal their different things. We relate to people in different ways, and we all contribute something, because we're like going back to the emotional piece. We're people are reactive. We react to things. And so however you reacted, then I'm going to react to you if you said, and then it's just going to build from there. So I think we all contribute to whether we build that has something healthy or something toxic.
Okay. Mental health in 3 words.
Mental health in 3 words. Emotional awareness, accountability.
Emotional awareness and accountability. Now, what do those 3 words mean to you?
They mean that it's a process. Being human is not meant to be easy, and that let me back up for a second. I used to tell clients that if you were to pay to go to a movies are not cheap. Especially nowadays, it's like, I mean, I'll spend like $100 for just me and my kids to go to the theater. And so if you were to go to the movies and you're sitting there and the main character has no problems, no issues, no obstacle to go overcome, you're probably going to get out and walk out of that theater because you're going to be bored. Like we don't want to, we watch like shows and things that entertain us because they're going through something, right? And also because it's relatable. And when we can look back, the biggest growth comes from something that was painful, right? And that's why I said earlier that I don't think women really fully come into their femininity, their power, their feeling comfortable in their skin until about 30. That's been my experience in women that I've pulled, because your 20s is really kind of figuring it out, where you stand, what matters to you, what your values are, because values are like one of the most fundamental, important things about who you become. And so, yeah, I think that it's just a process, and giving yourself grace to get through it.
Okay. What made you want to come be on the podcast today?
Because, like I said, I'm a super nerd and I love talking about this kind of stuff. And this was pretty cool. I'm pretty passionate about all these things.
What's like the most interesting part about mental health that to you? Like, what's like the most interesting?
What's interesting about mental health? That I think people kind of like people don't understand that like everybody else is also going through the similar things. Like social anxiety, for example, is so common, and that a lot of it's more common than people give credit to. I think like what is the statistic? It's like 1 in 6 people hear voices. But when you hear that, like, oh, somebody's hearing voices, you would think that they must be schizophrenic or something. Actually, a cool something I learned recently was that that is a cultural thing that people in other cultures hear voices that tell them nice things and positive things. In America, they hear negative things and putting them down, and like although they're like critical.
Why is that?
I mean, it might have something to do with America being like that individualistic, like pull yourself up from your bootstraps, you're not good enough. And so it's that internalized, like playing on you're not good enough. And I think culturally, when in more like collectivistic cultures, it's more like the whole needs to be good instead of I need to be good.
Or maybe it's just the food that we eat.
I mean, then we could go down GMOs and all kinds of that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, I was funny because I was talking to somebody one time and they were telling me, they're like, yeah, I'm from Canada. We don't have these kind of Chips Ahoy. We don't have these Oreos and stuff. I'm like, how are you surviving? Like, it's crazy.
Well, your body is a temple, and what you put into it, is important. Actually, I saw this thing. It was like a short on Facebook the other day, and it said a lot of men say that they would die for their family. But would they start eating healthy? Would they wake up later? Would they drop all their bad habits? And meaning, would they actually live for their family? And that was pretty powerful to me.
That's a fucked up question. Dang. Because the reason why I say it's fucked up and the reason why I was silent, because I was thinking, like I said all the time, I'd die for my family, for sure. And I mean it. Like, I mean, somebody break into my house, we're going to war. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Or they, you do anything to the people I love, we're going to go to war. Mm-hmm. But then I think about how many times I've been to the doctor and they tell me you need to do X, Y, Z to be healthier, or you need to do that, or you need to stop doing this, do that, and then you continue that same habit or that same action. Damn. So it's kind of powerful. I like it. Yeah. So basically you said, let me see, you said men say that they would die for their family, but would that same man be willing to be healthy for his family, basically?
Yeah, change their and drop their bad habits and their vices and.
I like that. Hey y'all, if you guys are watching this, you guys are gonna probably see an Instagram post about this. I like that. That's yeah, another fist bump. There you go. She's dropping knowledge on us today, guys. For the people viewing this episode, what's the biggest takeaway you want them to get from this episode?
That there's nothing wrong with you. Your emotions are because you're experiencing something. It's you're just reacting to something, and if you pause for a second, the things that the time, not that time heals all wounds, but it's like life keeps moving forward, and there's not anything wrong with you. So talk to somebody about it.
Okay. What advice would you give to somebody who might be battling? Like, if you had somebody reach out to you today and they was like, hey, Jessie, I'm having a bad day. Like, I'm just feeling really low self-esteem. Can't find no intrinsic or extrinsic motivation. I just feel like the world would be a better place without me. Like, what would you say to them?
Well, I mean, I heard the world would be a better place without me. I'd start by asking that hard question of, have you been thinking about ending your life? People sometimes think that that's going to put that thought into your mind, but it doesn't. It actually opens that door for you to feel safer to be truthful with me. So I'd probably start with asking that question, and then I just sit with you, and so we can kind of unpack those things. And I probably wouldn't leave you alone if you're really getting that far into it. But people, you matter. You're here for a reason, because in reality, you've mentioned God multiple times throughout this podcast, and there's a lot of things that had to come into play for you to be here. I think that it's like winning the lottery to be able to have this life. It's like I'm blessed to be stressed by these bills because that means that I have the opportunity to still be here. So, the distance that the earth is from the sun and all the different things and conception, it's not necessarily, it's a miracle, right? So the fact that you have breath in your lungs and blood in your veins today, that's a miracle.
Man, the drive home's gonna be crazy, man. Give me a lot to think about, man. I don't think I'm a man. I'm just joking. But no, I appreciate that, and that's. I will say this, that To everybody who's watching, I will sit with her, stand with her, and say, you're worth it. You matter. You are enough. All those great affirmations. But the most important thing is that you're worth fighting for. And so is the things that you want in life. They're worth fighting for. What did you think about the podcast?
This was awesome. I mean, I think we had some pretty profound stuff came out, and I really enjoyed this conversation. It's awesome.
Okay. And for the viewers, for your friends, your family, the people who know you, the world, when it's all said and done, and God calls you home, what do you most importantly want people to remember you for, or for being?
That's a hard question because I wear a lot of hats, and a lot of people rely on me, I think. Just that I didn't let the obstacles get in my way. Like I kept going and showing up for the people that mattered, and that I don't know. I didn't give up.
So in short, you want people to remember that you were strong, that you're loyal.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Last question. If everything in the world stopped, everybody's ears open, the deaf could hear, and the only person could speak was Jessie, and you had 30 seconds of their attention, what would you say?
Well, that's a lot of pressure. Sometimes silence can be more powerful than words. I guess I would just say thank you.
That's what you say to the world?
I'd say to the world, yeah, because, I mean, if I'm the only one able to, I mean, I don't know, because everybody interacts with everybody else, and we are all important, and kind of lost my train of thought there. But I guess I would tell the world that because gratitude is, I think, the most powerful medicine, and something that people take for granted. But I think gratitude is probably one of the most important emotions.
Okay. All right. This is the point of the episode where you get to ask me questions. You got any questions for me?
Ooh, let's see. As a man, what is the most difficult emotion for you to experience?
I don't know if it's an emotion. I don't think it's an emotion, but just the worst thing for me is betrayal. But emotion-wise, because that's what's coming to my head, so I just said it.
Why betrayal? Because it's like you.
Because loyalty is the most important thing to me. I don't care about somebody telling me they love me. I don't care about somebody saying they got my back. I don't care. Show me with your loyalty. Be loyal. Be somebody who I can depend on. Be somebody, and I'm not talking about like financially. I'm not talking about none of that. I'm talking about strictly, I know that you won't do wrong to me or against me. If I leave the room and it's a room of my haters in the room and you're my only supporter, my only congratulator, I need to know that while they're all, talking down on me, that you're still solid. You're still, even if you don't come to my defense and stand up for me, you don't join in. You know what I mean? So that's very important to me.
I would say that that the emotion related to that would be maybe that's my dog. Maybe shame in yourself because you trusted somebody that you turned out to not fulfill what you believed them to be.
Okay, shame. Yep, I'll take that one. Any other question?
What are you most proud of?
Oh, that's easy. The man I am today.
Yeah.
Because the man I was 6 months ago, the man I was a year ago, 5 years ago, I'm not. I've progressed. And no one can take that from me. I know it. People have told me that they see a difference in me, but I know that I've made changes. So it doesn't matter what other people say, or they want to keep holding me in this box from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. You want to keep holding me as that younger version of me, that's fine. You can, you can let that version of me live rent free in your brain. That's your choice. But the version of me that's right now, that's invested in all the people around me, you're gonna miss out on that person because you're so busy looking at the old me. You can't take those glasses off. And that's a you problem, not a me. So when you inflict and project your problems with me, or your problems that you think that I have, because you're stuck in the past, or you project that onto me. That's a you problem. It doesn't affect me too much anymore. It used to. It used to become very emotional as a man. And I'm not talking about like crying or like angry, ready to fight you, cuss you out. Now it's just kind of like it kind of like frustrates me, but it's just like it doesn't really mess up my day. It's just kind of like I eventually, like in the moment, I get like frustrated. It might probably show that I'm disgruntled on my face or something like that. But then like 10 minutes later, I'm back to being normal because it really didn't affect me. It just more or less kind of like upset me that you're so dumb that you can't see that I changed. So
Yeah, I would say that's the development of wisdom.
okay, that's where all these grades come from. Well, I cut my hair out. You can't really see the grades no more. But look, I appreciate you coming on. We didn't really get too much into your story because we had a lot of great conversations. So I'd love to have you back on for your story whenever you're ready. But I really do appreciate you coming on, sharing your knowledge. I hope that somebody who's watching this can learn something from what you taught, what you've, I learned something, so someone did. But I hope somebody viewing this can learn something from you, feel inspired, encouraged, and motivated to keep going and to just keep going in their life. Maybe they're not dealing with like suicidal ideations or anything like that. Maybe they just, struggling with keep moving forward in life, like progressing at work or something like that. Maybe, so hopefully,
Life is hard.
Yeah. So maybe you gave some insight, and I pray that it's the case. If you guys enjoyed this episode, drop us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you'd like to come be on the podcast, shoot me an email to mindoremotionsthepodcast@gmail.com. Shoot me a text message to 702-525-6118. Make sure you guys also don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. It's free. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram @mindoremotionsthepodcast. We out of here. Peace.